before would send me a text and say, Bruce, how you feeling today? You know? So, I mean, I'm blessed that way. And of course, I have my core friends and family that, you know, are rallying around me the best you can.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's a good thing, but you know, you give a lot, so back naturally. I mean, you're a giver, you know what that's like, so, and then, it's nice to get it back too,
Yes.
no
It's
strings
hard.
attached.
Yeah. It's hard to receive, like when you're a giver, you want to do things for other people. And
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But again, it's nothing wrong with receiving. People are doing it the same way I would do it to give, so they have the dynamic is exactly the same, it's just that it's switched around. That's
Yes.
all.
Yes.
So that's what life is, challenges, it's all good. And that's, it's interesting. That's one of the reasons I got into stand-up comedy is that after my accidents, I can stand up, basically. And but I didn't get into it until that for a while, because I used to work for a Fortune 500 company. I worked there 25 years, and one day I got called to a meeting in New Jersey, thinking that I was getting a diversity award or getting my 25th anniversary grandfather clock. I got to the meeting, and the next thing you know, they're talking about they're disbanding my department. So I got my clock cleaned instead of getting the grandfather clock.
Oh
So
my gosh.
the good news is though I had 25 years of service and I just turned 50, so I was able to retire. That was 14 years ago. So I turned 64 in January. So, but at 50 years old, do you really want to retire?
Yeah.
And they bought me out and they paid me very well to leave. But after a while, that runs out. So the day I left there, I had another job lined up. I had a 3-year contract with a company. After the 3 years up, business sold. So I kind of found myself unemployed for a couple of months, and then I got hurt in the accident. So, so that kind of propelled me to want to do something else. It wasn't a financial thing, it was more up here. You want to be able to keep yourself mentally feeling like you're moving forward. It's very important.
Yes.
That's why I love this, chatting with somebody like you you know, who's a sweet person, is not negative, been around the block, basically. You've experienced life. And it's good because you expand your horizons, you get out there, and these are the things it's all about. I did Gladys's mic last week. I mean, it's a nice mic in the sense that you've seen people you normally don't see, but a lot of it's bantering back and forth. But again, the feeling is getting back into the real world, and that's very
Yes.
important. And it was interesting because the way I really got into comedy was that I've always loved comedy. I used to go to Dangerfields in the city. I used to go to, a lot of different clubs. But Dangerfields was my favorite. I love Rodney Dangerfield. And
Me too. The
one
best.
day, a friend of mine, his girlfriend, does fundraisers once a year for a big organization. And part of that, she usually puts on a comedian or two. And she put on a famous comedian. And ironically, he sat next to me. So we had dinner together. We talked and chatted. He got up and did 45 minutes and he killed. All right, fantastic. Got to know him, meet him. And I said, this is pretty cool. But that wasn't the reason I actually got into comedy. The next year, same thing. He was the headliner. And ironically, he sat next to me again. Whether they purposely did that, I don't know. We were at the same table, but I managed to sit next to him. He got up there and I can see a difference. All right. I can just look at him and I said, something wasn't right. He didn't look like he was into it or prepared. Looked like he was just mailing it in. Got up there, did 20 minutes, and the crowd was flat. And he was supposed to do 45 minutes that night. And I know how much my friend paid this person. It was a lot of money. We're talking thousands of dollars for 45 minutes. All right. And so after the 20 minutes, he saw nothing was happening. He sat back down in the seat right next to me and said, boy, what a tough crowd. And I was so pissed off at him. Right. He nailed it in that night. I knew it. I could tell right away. It reminded me of I'm digressing a little bit. I went to Queens College. I got my master's over there. And I remember my first semester in my master's program, there were two teachers there that were doing the same thing. One teacher stopped in the middle of the class and said he's not prepared to teach this class. That pissed me off so much that I vowed that if I had the opportunity, once I get my master's, I'm going to go teach in the school as an adjunct. And I did. I went back and taught there for several years, not only one class, but two classes. And that turned into another class at Delphi University and one at NYU. And the same thing with the comedy here. I got so pissed off at him. And I said, you know, son of a gun, I was ready to walk up there. I had no comedy experience. I was going to tell the stupidest jokes if I had to. That's how pissed off I was. And I said, you know, I'm going to try this out. He had his opportunity and he blew it. You know, there's so many other people there waiting for that opportunity. I may not get to that status or level that he's on supposedly. And honestly, you know, some of the stuff he was doing, I wasn't impressed with, but that's neither here nor there. They can say the same thing about me or you when you get on stage. That's just the way it is. And we all bomb. One day we're really good, the other day we're not, but we're prepared. That's the big difference. He was flat and not prepared. And my friend was so pissed off. She said, I'm paying this $3,000 to do 45 minutes and did 20 minutes. Imagine $3,000.
I can't imagine. Oh my gosh.
And so he got back down there, and it's like I took some more information from him, and then I decided I'm going to enroll in one of the stand-up university classes. You know, it's a 6-week program and everything else like that. So I did that, you know, and on my bucket list that I wanted to check off was that once I graduate from here, if I don't do anything else, I want to perform on Dangerfields. And so, again, they're bringer shows. It did make a difference. I got to perform many times there. And, of course, other places, you know, you still bring a Bruce. You know, you're not at that status level that you're going to have somebody's going to tap you on the shoulder every week and say, Bruce, we want you. But I'm getting different places here and there. But unfortunately now, because of what's happening, you know, a lot of those places that I had booked are not going to happen now. So, but again, it came down to, you know, getting on stage that first time on graduation night. And I'll never forget this. You know, I got up there and, you know, as much prepared, you're nervous, so you kind of screw up a little bit. So I do a joke, I talk about my wife, where I say, you know, my wife does the shopping in the house. But every time I give her a list, she never gets it right. You know? And so I ask her, you know, regular orange juice. She gives me orange juice with pulp.
She gives you what?
Orange juice with pulp. You know, pulp. Okay. I wanted regular. She gave me pulp. I said to her, honey, I want regular, and I blanked out. And the word was peanut butter. And for like those 3 seconds, think of the word peanut butter. It seemed like 5 minutes.
Yes.
And then I kind of got myself back and I said, regular peanut butter. And then I finished the joke, you know. So the idea is, and she comes back with chunky style, you know, and then there's a punchline to it as well. But the thing is, I was like frozen up there for that 2 or 3 seconds that probably nobody else knew, but I knew.
Yeah.
And so again, it goes back, yes, I was prepared. I always go back to that guy who was the headliner that night, and he nailed it in. And so I vowed as much as possible that I'll be prepared. And there was only one time that I was not prepared for a show because I tried to get cute. All right. We were doing I got asked to do not just me, to do a fundraiser for feral cats and you know, stray cats and stuff. And a very famous comedian in Long Island runs a shelter for cats. Always asking for donations. So I brought my wife and 3 friends who are cat lovers to come to this thing. So I thought I'm going to get cute now. And anything that I'm going to do for this particular show is going to have to do with animals. Right? I already had 2 or 3 minute bit on my dog, and I designed a dog. I decided I'm going to do something totally that nobody's ever done that I've ever seen. One was on exotic pets, right? You know, a guy has a python around his neck, or you know, like a boa constrictor. Talking about you see a guy walking down the street has a boa constrictor around his neck. What's this snake thinking? What's this guy thinking? What am I thinking? And I didn't have it rehearsed well enough, all right? Then I had another one where a person, this is a true story, on Long Island, had an emotional support animal. It was an alligator. he had a 5-foot alligator as an emotional support animal. And so I had written, exactly, and I had written a whole bit about this thing, but I had not rehearsed it well, and it could have been really, really good because I wanted to go, I got cute. I got cute. I didn't have rehearsed it enough. I felt I didn't do a good job at it. So,
Yeah.
but it wasn't that I wasn't trying to do a good job. I just felt this guy that night didn't give a shit, basically, and,
Yeah.
and it showed it too. It really showed it.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, you've been getting so good lately. All I hear about is Bruce getting better and killing. And so I was so tickled that you were on Gladys's show, and I couldn't go watch the show.
Yeah. Because a lot of that stuff is, again, right now it's more banter and fooling around and just finding stuff out, just having a good time, reconnecting. I think the one thing that Gladys likes is like we're talking right now. Like we're talking right now is the way comedy should be. There's no pretense. There's nothing going on. It's real. And I think that's one of the things I learned from her as much as possible. You got to be real, you know? You can't be up there like you're rehearsed and like you're rehearsing, basically reading a book.
Yes.
Not that it's always easy, because again, it comes down to the material, your confidence in the material. And with these open mics, I started writing a lot of new stuff about my experiences with the COVID virus. Some of the stuff I was talking to you about, I didn't elaborate as much. Then what I would do is I would tie it into some of my current stuff. Like, for example, I talked about the food delivery before. The zucchini, and now it's a rhubarb. And then I talked about, I would say, my wife wanted to launch Colgate toothpaste. And they didn't have that, so they did a substitute. They sent a large tube of Gorilla Glue, instead. And then I had something where, on part of that joke, my dog normally eats the science diet, and they delivered Alpo instead. And so I had to feed this dog Alpo. He took 2 bites, rolled over on his back, and played dead. And what I would do, I tied that joke to my wife shopping joke that I just talked to you about. So, can you hear me?
Are you there? Can you hear me?
You hear me? I can hear me? Okay,
Yeah.
great. So then I would tie that joke I just wrote to my wife's shopping joke with the orange juice, the peanut butter, and that punchline was, honey, I had hemorrhoids, so I asked for hemorrhoid cream, and she came back with chili powder. So again, trying to tie the new to the old, and I wrote a joke and I adapted it to the virus as well. I have a joke that I used that my 87-year-old father called me up, and he called me up and said, Bruce, you told me all the comedy clubs are closed in the city. He said, that's not true. That I found a comedy club that's open. I said, that's great, Dad. What's it called? He said, Stand Up MRI.
That's a great joke for now.
Yeah, and I actually do that joke as well prior to that. It's the same thing. So then I said, Dad, did you check the place out? And he said, for this now, he said, yeah, it's really exclusive. They won't let me in without a prescription. And I said, there's other stuff involved there. So then, I start talking about my parents. I said, I miss my parents. My parents are both dead, unfortunately. They've been gone a long time, but I refer to them as if they're alive. And I went back and said, it's hard having old parents. You've got to take them to a lot of medical appointments. Recently, I had to take my mom and dad to the hospital. My father was getting some tests, and my mother was going to see a new doctor. So we're in the elevator, and suddenly a technician wheels in this machine. It has all these hoses and tubes on it. It sits it right next to my dad. So my dad looks at him and says, gee, I hope they don't hook me up to this machine today. The guy goes, I hope not too. It's a carpet cleaner. And so then I bring my mother upstairs to see her doctor. It's supposed to be a miracle doctor. She walks with a cane all bent over with osteoarthritis. So she's basically bent over, walking into the doctor's office. I'm in the waiting room. 10 minutes later, she comes out walking all straight up. I said, "This is a miracle, Mom. What did this doctor do?" She said, "He gave me a longer cane." And then I talk about, how I bring my parents after the hospital. I brought them to their favorite place for breakfast, Friendly's. Okay, you know Friendly's, right?
Yeah.
So while we're having breakfast, my mother calls the manager over and says, "It's bad enough my eggs are runny, my toast is burnt. How come you no longer serve coffee in those nice brown Friendly mugs?" So the manager said, "Lady, we stopped because people kept on stealing them." So she said, "Oh my, that's too bad. I only needed one more to complete my set." So then I get now my luck. I'm the only person in the world who has a mother that has a mug shot for stealing mugs.
You
Then
know, the joke about stand-up MRI?
Yeah.
Isn't there a drink that they make you drink sometimes so they can see, the radiologist can
Oh yeah,
see?
that depends on the test they're doing, right? If they're doing a barium animal, they're doing something else, they may do an injection,
So you could add a tag about how it has a 2-drink barium dye minimum.
Minimum, yeah, exactly. 2-drink barium dye minimum. I had something else, really exclusive club. They won't let you in without a doctor's note and your Medicare card and a photo ID. And I said to my dad, "Is there a cover charge?" "No, there's a 2 copay minimum."
I say I'm so old that my AARP bag can vote.
Exactly. There you go.
Gladys doesn't like me talking about my age,
Oh, yeah.
but I like talking about it because
Right.
I feel I'm authentic. I'm up there. I'm obviously older.
Right.
It
Yeah.
relaxes me to talk about.
Sure, we're not too far apart in age, so I understand. I have a joke that I use. It's a theme. Everybody talks about the millennials. I've named our generation the perennials. And so I have a whole bunch of jokes on that. I said, when we were younger and we would go dancing, we'd go out and bust a move. Right? Now that I'm a perennial, I go out dancing, I'm afraid I'm going to bust a hip. I look at my medicine cabinet where I used to use Vitalis. Now I use Cialis. And I said, I'm getting old over here where my foam mattress actually has better memory than I do.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And I have a whole bunch of other things there too that I talked about. And if I'm doing my perennial versus millennials, thing, it varies so much. Like I'll do a library show and there's a lot of elderly people there and they can appreciate a lot of that stuff, especially when I talk about my parents as well, So I'll go back and I'll say, I took my mother to my favorite restaurant. And again, it's the same complaining. She started to eat, threw down her fork and said, "This is the worst Greek salad I've ever eaten." I said, "Ma, how many times have I told you you don't order Greek salad in a Chinese restaurant?" And I said, even her fortune cookie said, don't order the Greek salad, So again, you just keep on with the parents. And I went back to their home. I wanted to check on them, I made the mistake of opening their refrigerator. Half the items there were expired. I said to my mother, "Your Grey Poupon is actually gray." And I said, "How old is this meatloaf?" She said, "That's salmon." I said, "Dad, this juice expired in 2014. You can't drink this." He says, "That's a bunch of malarkey. I don't believe in expiration dates. The government's in cahoots with big business." I said, "Dad, this is Exxon. There's no conspiracy going on at the Clover Valley Prune Juice Company. Throw it out." It's gotten so bad, I can't keep up with these people. But not that my wife is so good either. My wife just hired a maid, spends money like nothing. I really hate this woman. She's lazy and she eats all our food. So I finally told my wife, you know, it's not working out. You're going to have to fire your mother. And then I hired a maid for my parents because the house was so dirty. And, you know, it's weird because the maid comes over there. All my mother wants to do is cook for her. I said, what are you cooking for the maid? Let her eat on her own. She says, no, I enjoy that. You know, your mother-in-law really likes my meatloaf. You're terrible. You're terrible. And my wife, she's into the fitness thing now. You know, she takes yoga, but she takes goat yoga. You know about goat yoga? This is where you lay on a mat and the goats roam around the studio, jump on your back and lick your ears. I said to my wife, sure, you'll pay a goat to do that. And she said, yeah, he's got great technique and better breath. And then she convinced me to take a yoga class. She dragged me to a class. I was so embarrassed when I got to this class. You know, I had my mat out there, and the instructor came up to me and said, what a cute mat. What does it say? Please wipe your feet before entering. And they fooled me, too. They said, this is not a regular class. This is a hot yoga class. You know, 50 people in a room the size of a walk-in closet, 150 degrees. While I was doing my downward dog, I looked in the mirror and I said, please, God, tell me that was a goat's tongue. Terrible.
You are really good at stringing the jokes together.
Yeah, I got a million of them. Yeah. And so
Wow.
then I'll talk about my son a little bit. You know, I caught my son when he was young playing with a deck of cards with naked women on it. I said, what kind of games do you play with this? Lots of solitaire. And now he's older. He came home the other day and he said, Dad, my workout clothes are dirty. I said, wash them yourself. Go downstairs, throw them in the washing machine. Went downstairs, we have a brand new washing machine. So he yelled at me and said, Dad, I don't know what to set the machine on. I said, what does it say on your shirt? He yells back up and says, Nike.
Ow. Hold on a second. I got to tell this last interview that the internet's not working. I have to cancel my last interview.
Uh-huh.
I don't think Facebook is back to live again.
Oh, too bad.
I have to reschedule with him. I want to finish up with you. I just want to say this to him. What's his name? He's a Greek guy.
All right. Where are you finding most of these people? Just putting the word out?
They're coming to me. So, like, I do an interview and somebody says, oh, this was so fun. Can I send some people to you? And I'm like, sure.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, and
I was talking. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, there's people that I've hit up to begin with, but now people are enjoying it so much that they're sending me names of people.
I told Art Schill. He says hello.
Yes, he wrote me, and I'm trying to lock down a date with him.
I was talking to him today. I suggested he contact you today.
That's awesome. I can't wait. I've been wanting to get to meet him in person. I never have.
Guy. Funny guy, great stories. We have a lot in common, Art. He's older than he's in his 80s, Art, you know. But we have some things in common from just how we grew up and certain experiences. So we bonded pretty well on that. We talk almost every day. If it's not talking, we're always texting or sending something to each other. You know, I had lunch with him right before we had all this Corona stuff, you know. Together. I've been on shows with him.
So have you lost?
He's funny. He's getting bookings.
Have you, in New York, have you known and lost people that you know and love?
Yes. And not so much me, but my neighbor lost her mother recently, and obviously that hits home. I haven't personally lost anybody, but I know people who've lost significant amounts of people. It's freaky scary, let me tell you. That's my own situation and how I feel now. I got whatever symptoms I have. I'm worried what happens if I go the other way and my breathing becomes an issue. It hasn't been an issue, but this is such an unknown. But I did everything. I'm doing the right thing. I said taking all the protocols, taking the medicines. I've taken more medicine in 3 weeks than I've taken in 64 years. Prior to this, I'd never taken a Tylenol in my life. And in the beginning, when they told me to start taking Tylenol, I took some because I didn't know what to expect. But, you know,
Wow.
and they start giving this other stuff. You got to do what you got to do in this particular situation because, you'd like to think that that's the best option for the cure. Or if
Yeah.
anything, preventing it from going worse,
Yeah.
And it seems, as I said before, people really think the vitamin D has helped tremendously.
Okay.
But I don't have the answer. I lost your audio. Yeah, something.
Now, can you
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
me?
You're shrinking. Your network bandwidth is low.
Yes. It says something's unstable. I think they're muting me. Can you hear
Right.
me now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It says your
Yeah.
network. Yeah. I lose you again. Every
You
other
talk.
word. Every other word I hear. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, um, you're not performing now, obviously, because there's no clubs to perform in. But are you still teaching people? Are you still coaching people?
I am not coaching anybody right now. I've been focusing on doing the interviews while people are at home,
Right, right, right,
and I got to do quite a few shows here already.
right.
My biggest show I did. I'm 2 blocks away from the Stratosphere at LA Comedy Club,
Mhm.
and I got to be on a show there. And the headliner said that I killed.
Great,
Those were his words, and he
great,
rebooked me for that.
great, fantastic,
And
fantastic.
then the city shut down, so it might be my fault.
It could be. You killed too
Yeah.
many, yeah. But I have a friend
Yeah.
living in Vegas. I have a friend living in Vegas who used to work in the same company as me. I told him one day, when I get to Vegas, I'm going to get to a club over there. I'm going to perform. And he's going to come see me.
Nice. So your friend is here in Vegas?
Yes, yes. He works for Wells Fargo Bank. Yeah,
No way.
yeah, yeah. So he's him and his wife. He's got a grandson. I think his daughter works at one of the hotels. I know what his son-in-law does, but I haven't seen him in a long, long time since the last time I was in Vegas, basically. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. He doesn't
What do
get
you
back to
think?
work. Sorry?
What do you think about the idiots that aren't staying at home right now? You must
Oh,
have strong feelings.
well, I don't see it as bad in New York, but you look at Florida, where these people, they open the beaches up. I think that's a mistake. We had a situation in New Jersey recently where they had a Pink Floyd party. You know what Pink Floyd is? Yeah, yeah, the group. There was a Pink
Yeah.
Floyd party in the backyard, like 40 people. The cops came and broke it up, and they were complaining, oh, it's Nazi Germany all over again. They were throwing things at the cops, and the cops said, this is curfew. You can't, this is stupid, you know? The cops are exposing themselves. I think there was something that just was on TV today. I think it was 32 police officers have passed away from the coronavirus. Or no, I shouldn't say it. 32 people working for the police department. It could be civilian employees, it could be policemen, it could be whatever. I think 16 policemen passed away from the virus, you know. But again, some of them could have been 300 pounds, have heart disease, have other things. Some of it could be just regular people. That just, unfortunately, it hit.
So I live in Vegas, right off the strip, in a motel that's for mostly veterans.
Oh, really? Interesting. Okay.
It's called Veterans Village. So it's really affordable, but we got a guy in here that they came and picked him up with a hazmat suit because he had the virus. So then he comes back and he's hanging out with everybody, talking, sharing cigarettes. Then another ambulance comes and takes another guy away. And I have really, one day I lost 5 New York friends a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like the guy that used to be a regular at Stand Up New York. I can't remember his name. They might not be personal friends of mine, but I know them through the business.
Sure.
Seeing name after name on Facebook of people dying that I knew. I did an interview of a guy named Lavelle Velibel Harris. 2 days later, he just died.
That name sounds very familiar. Yeah.
He worked up and down the East Coast, originally from New York, down in Georgia or whatever. And he was with a nonprofit to help battered children. I mean, the greatest passionate guy about don't mess with our children.
Right.
And he's gone,
Yeah. It's this thing is nasty. People are saying, Bruce, how did you get it? I think my wife actually had it back in January because she was very sick for like 4 or 5, 6 weeks. And but back in January, people weren't really talking about the virus because it really wasn't prevalent in New York. But then there was recently an article that came out that said, yes, it was back as early as November of last year. So she could have had it. Then my son got sick. He probably had it. And then I got it. So but unfortunately, what I got. And as Sonny and Cher said, I got you, baby, and yeah, you got me. But again, as I repeat, I think I'm doing okay. I'm impatient right now. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I'm scared still. That's all part of being a human being. Welcome to the human race.
Exactly. Well, let me get back to you and get an event. Do you want to tell me a time when we can try this again? Because I still don't have Facebook Live.
Well, whatever. I'm going to wind up saying the same stuff I just told you.
Good. I want people to. What's your Monday look like on your schedule, Bruce?
Okay, let's see, my dear. Let's see Monday. If we do, we see my secretary is out, so let me just. Monday.
People have to.
Want to do the same thing? 9 o'clock. 9
What?
o'clock. 9 o'clock again on Monday.
Your time?
Yeah.
6 p.m. my time.
Right.
You got it.
Hold on one second. Let me put it in my calendar, my cozy calendar. Okay. In here, and it's 9 p.m. Okay, so Monday the 27th, 9 p.m.
Yes.
The famous Linda Marcus Smith interview from Las Vegas.
Yes.
In the flesh, all set. And
Yeah.
maybe I'll wear a different tie next time.
Okay, I didn't even see this one yet.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's gorgeous. What is that?
Got giraffes on it.
Oh, cool.
All right. But you don't care what I wear, basically, because you don't really see anything.
No. Yeah.
But a lot of times when I go on stage, I like to be a little different. I don't know.
Yes.
You know George, right? George Charles. He says, get rid of the coat. You look like, you're selling insurance, he says. Everybody has an opinion. Then Gladys says, I love the look. Other people, I love the look. Oh, who knows? what's right and what's wrong. It's the comedy. It's not the look necessarily. But also, I like to because people remember you. You know,
Yeah.
oh, the guy with the tie. You know, whatever. You know.
When I go on stage on a show, I wear a prom gown.
Huh? All right, there you
And
go.
it's my signature look, and that's what I want to do. And
All right.
Gladys didn't like me even wearing a dress, let alone a prom gown, but that's when I'm most comfortable.
That's right. Same here. The first time I went on stage for my, for my, graduation show, I wore a bow tie. And I was telling the guys that was like Rich Walker, who was running that thing, I was telling him, I'm going to wear a bow tie. He says, nobody's ever worn a bow tie on our stage during graduation. And somebody else in the graduating class heard that and he wore a bow tie too, which
Oh,
didn't matter. I mean, yeah, that's all right.
yeah,
I really don't care. Yeah,
no,
they're not stealing anything from me. Everybody wants to wear a bow tie. I'm flattered. I haven't worn the bow tie since.
yeah.
This was
When
back.
when I go to an open mic around here, the people will come up to me, the comics, and say, "Where's your gown?" So
Yeah, yeah.
even the comics love it, you
Yeah.
know.
I used to go to Gladys dressed like this, um, and she liked that. Liked that better than my comedy at first. But she invited me
Well,
back.
your comedy's gotten so much better. That's what everybody's saying.
Well, we're working it. As Jimmy Durante said, I got a million of them. Ha cha cha cha, I got a million of them. Yeah. All right, sweetie.
Funny.
All right.
Okay, thank you. We'll
All
see you
right.
on Monday.
Monday to be continued or to be repeated. This is a repeat on Monday. They're already repeating shows.
I'll go explain it on Facebook.
Who loves you, baby? Take care.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Love you lots.